There you go.
You guys have missed so much.
Thanks for joining us on the Worship Hangover. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. So if you don't know this, we just get up here and start talking, and then the camera comes on, and you just come in almost halfway into the conversation, and then we get done with the other half, and then we talk about the sermon.
Yeah, that's what happens.
However,
Hey, don't reveal our pattern.
That's our secret.
That's
like
the
this
algorithm.
Is just us.
Yeah.
But we were having some trouble on the stream today because Facebook's not really.
That's
working.
why we're in YouTube land.
That's why we're in YouTube.
Well, that's not why we're in YouTube. That's why we're only in YouTube land at this
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
Yes,
And we,
because-
you know what, to be honest, we had trouble with that yesterday.
Yeah.
The stream. So if you're seeing this and you tried to watch on Facebook yesterday, I'm so sorry.
What
Sorry.
buzzwords do I need to say so that Meta hears this? Right? Zuckerberg,
Zuckerberg.
Musk, Trump. I don't know what I got to say so that
Doge.
Doge. Yeah.
I think that they know it doesn't work.
I
they're
just,
fine.
I'm
That's
trying to
my
say the
conspiracy
buzzwords so they
theory.
hear it.
I think they hear it anyways.
I'm
I think that they hear everything.
I'm really shocked,
That's why they're
actually,
Meta.
that when COVID happened, that Facebook didn't clamp down and say, nope, no churches are going to stream on our platform anyways.
Yeah.
I was really shocked by that.
Yeah.
I expected that any moment.
really.
Yeah.
Because we blew them up that day,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and I
it was-
figured they would just lock us down.
Yeah.
So
Nope.
glad they didn't. Thank you.
Yeah. And that was probably a tough decision, just
Yeah.
all across the board. And Zoom having to, can you see the
Oh, Zoom was
opportunity?
so grateful for COVID. You gotta
Dude,
know.
I don't know if
Their
they were. I don't know if they
is
were
unreal.
floundering
If
or
you
anything,
bought
but man,
stock, even when it was beginning
Yeah.
to rise,
And now it's
you'd
like
be so rich.
Zoom is the brand.
The
you know
brand.
Yeah.
it's so huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've been doing just some cooler things than they.
And I don't
maybe had
know
ever
who
done.
decided. Who decided that Zoom was going to be it?
Well, I think it was.
think they did.
They were. Zoom was at the perfect crosshairs of accessibility and technology at that moment.
Yeah.
Anybody who had a smartphone could do Zoom.
mm-hmm. It is
and
really easy to use.
right. Where other options that were similar didn't necessarily have the brand recognition at the time or the because I was already
Yeah.
pre the plague. I was already using Zoom for some meetings and things like that
Oh,
with other
okay.
organizations.
Yeah.
And so I think they had enough wherewithal.
I was doing webinars,
Yeah.
I
worship webinars.
was not.
Yeah.
Period. I used Skype
Yeah.
to play Minecraft.
I was going to say, but pre-plague, you were 7?
No.
Well, yeah, in fact, you were.
No. Pre-plague?
Yeah, you were 7 before it happened.
Well, okay. All right. This is true. You were too.
That's true.
Yeah. And so were you, Zach.
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know.
My
Yeah.
kids wouldn't believe I was ever
How
7.
did you guys spend the Super Bowl yesterday?
So we went over to our life group leader's house, and I only say life group leader because we were going to have a life group as a Super Bowl, and then only a couple of families were able to show up. So it was people from our life group, but it was almost just more like going to their house. So, but it was
Yeah.
great. We had some wings, and
Dude,
that guy can smoke some wings. If you're
Ooh.
watching right now, you know who
so
you are.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can smoke me some wings sometime. I would accept it.
Yeah.
You know who you are, and I know who you are.
And then, okay, let me tell you about the weirdest
Yeah.
but best Super Bowl food. So
Okay.
I don't know how they made this, but
Okay.
it's like a sweet potato chip,
Oh,
like
that.
but not a crispy chip, like a slice,
Here for it.
and then a dollop of guacamole,
Okay.
and
you have
then-
my attention.
and then bacon bits on top.
Oh.
But not like crunchy bacon
yes.
bits, like
the soft,
the
delicious
soft,
ones.
delicious crunchy,
Yeah.
or not crunchy ones, yeah. And that's it. It's like
Oh.
a little hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah.
It's so
Whoever came up with that recipe, you're a good person.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was quite delicious.
Yeah.
What did you do, Joey?
I went home to my parents' house, drove 2 hours down, watched this, and let me tell you what, it was worth it. My dad is a great cook. We had he had texted me. Well, I called him Saturday just to confirm that I was coming up or down, and I said he's telling me he was just going to Walmart, and I was like, Dad, can I request something? He goes, sure. He's like, can I have some chicken wings? And so he cooked some, and they were amazing. I think there were 6 of them, and they're not like the little tiny ones you get
Yeah.
at Buffalo Wild Wings. Like they're the full wings.
Full wings,
and,
yeah.
So I had 4 out of the 6 of them, and then and
Can you
then
make some
he
wings just for me?
also
Thanks,
made
Dad.
yeah, Well,
Dad, you can have a couple too.
And a haircut, maybe.
yeah. No haircuts this week.
Free
Nope.
haircut.
Blurgin, blurgin.
What a call.
Make a little wings. Make a little cuts.
Anyways, he also made homemade chicken tenders.
Oh yeah.
So he uses milk and Bisquick
Oh okay.
as the breading.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good. Oh man.
Dude, I tell you, the thing that changed my life with making like homemade chicken tenders or things like that is realizing that you can buy pre-seasoned flour at the store. It's the greatest thing ever.
You're like, why is my stuff so bland?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I could never get enough salt into the flour no matter how hard I tried.
Yeah.
Then I just bought the saltiest flour on earth and it was perfect.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So easy.
So we had a few friends over last night, like a lot of our life group over, and it was great, just hanging out and watching it, and yeah, downstairs, and people brought food, and a lot of the moms and kids left like halftime. They were like, we got to get these kids in bed.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
left right before fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And we really needed to get our kids to bed, and they weren't terrible this morning, but
Yeah.
it was they needed sleep. So,
Yep.
but how about that game though, man?
Dude.
Oh, woof.
Oh
man.
my gosh.
Yeah, it was rough times.
My dad had $10 with two of my brothers on that game.
Yeah.
He lost both of them.
Oh, man. Well, Eagles were favored, right?
I don't know.
I think
I literally
the
paid no
Chiefs
attention.
were favored by 1 point.
Oh, I thought I heard somebody say that
Nope.
the Eagles, like everybody was betting on the Eagles.
I don't know.
But
Because I
that's
talked about
different.
rigging.
That's different though. Just because they're betting on it doesn't mean it's favorable.
Oh, that is true. That's facts.
That would be true, but it
You have
seems
your
like
odds,
it seems
then
like if majority
what
is
do you
betting
get?
on the Eagles, then
I don't know.
why would they do that?
I don't
Since
know.
They set,
Bad bet.
they set the odds beforehand.
Yeah. I was surprised by how big of a blowout. Like
Oh my
it
gosh.
was looking
Yeah.
really bad, and then you left, and things started looking up.
Yeah,
right?
so I went to bed at third quarter, and I guess they learned how to play football at that point.
So all you people who like left the party and went to bed last night at the third quarter, you're just not invited to it next year, right?
You missed I missed 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
Some good highlights. So, but you know,
The
oh
saddest
well.
part is that like you want to see like a really good competitive game
Yeah.
at the Super Bowl, and it was
Yeah.
just kind of like getting
not.
Yeah.
not.
One
It
of
wasn't.
one of the guys at my house, I think though, like he made the best point, and I agree with him. He's like, he didn't really care who won because he's a Bears fan, so he didn't really care.
This is how I feel.
Because he knows he's never going to. And so,
That was unnecessary.
but also true. And so he didn't really care who won, but he's like, I just want it to be like, I don't want it to be so close that people can whine about the refs.
Oh,
That's annoying.
ain't
sometimes.
nobody
Yeah.
whining about the refs.
Yeah, no one's whining around about the and the very first call of the game was a super questionable call.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
Yeah. But then they got another questionable call on the other side.
Yeah,
so
right. It all washed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was never a point where I thought that these refs were. There really just weren't a lot of calls in the game.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
They just
They
let
didn't
it
have
play.
time. The Eagles were just scoring too
Well,
much.
there were so many errors being
Dude.
made by people in red.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't have time to make fouls. So
yeah.
Oh man.
but wow.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Pretty
Hey,
crazy.
Yeah.
still fun. Fun
Yeah,
to hang out.
Yeah,
Fun
and,
to cheer for something.
and a
To-
bad day for the
to eat
Chiefs. Like
food.
Yeah.
like to walk away. I can only imagine how that feels making it to that last game
Yeah.
and then not, finishing.
Do you
it
guys
off,
have
but-
a commercial that you felt like was your favorite?
Oh man, that's a good
I don't
question.
know, man.
I don't
feel
know.
Like, I felt like this year, like there were some good commercials, but there weren't like overwhelmingly.
yeah.
I can only
were-
think of one, and it's the weirdest commercial.
The one that's not my favorite is the guy with the cowboy hat head.
Oh my
That
god,
was so creepy.
so gross,
So that
so gross.
that's kind of parallel to the one that popped into my head. But there was one where there was like this guy. I think it was like Ready Whip cold foam or something,
Oh yeah.
and it was like
Yeah,
a party in his mouth.
Oh,
Yeah,
like-
that was
the
so
weirdest thing,
gross.
man.
so gross.
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
So
yeah,
Yeah.
those
I
were
think-
similar commercials.
Like, I understand how a creative person comes up with that idea.
Yeah.
I don't understand how a person who works from the company gives it the green light. They're like, oh yeah, definitely.
Well, it's memorable.
Not only that, but
Is it-
paying $30
Well, I couldn't
million
forget it.
or $3 million.
It haunted me in my
to put
dreams.
That.
Here's
on millions of.
And I knew what the
people's
product
TVs.
was too. So
see, and I don't know. I didn't remember the product, and the same thing is true with the cowboy hat head.
yeah, I remember the product there too.
It was
Tubi.
it was a TV streaming
Tubi.
platform.
Yeah, it's
Tubi.
like
Yeah.
it's saying like everybody has something inside of them
Which-
that's weird,
which-
like and desires a certain type of shows, and then
Yeah.
Which,
Tubi has those.
To be
shows.
fair,
To
Tubi
be
was
fair.
streaming. They were streaming the Super Bowl, so a lot
were.
of people were seeing
Yeah.
that ad on their platform.
Yes.
It's like, what's the point? What's the point, guys?
Well, because
we didn't.
they would like for you to stay on their platform and
Maybe.
earn them ad revenue.
I think my favorite, as it almost always is this year, was maybe the Doritos commercial where the guy just gets destroyed by that alien.
Yes.
And then,
I think I missed that
the
one.
Yes.
Dorito
That was
shoots
super
through the
good.
UFO and it just blows it up, and then they're eating Doritos together.
As always,
Also-
Doritos wins. Yes.
Also, what's with 2 flying facial hair commercials?
Oh, weird. Yeah, so
The first
weird.
one I didn't love. The second one I thought was
yeah.
great.
They went full
Yeah.
like body part
Yeah.
commercial day.
Yeah.
That
yesterday.
was so.
Uh,
the baby with the mustache just
Yeah.
grossed me out.
The one,
Just-
the one that
Ron Swanson using that too.
yeah,
yeah.
the one
Whatever his
of
real name is.
Pringles.
yeah, the
Nick
Pringles, the
Offerman.
Pringles won that one. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that people at my house didn't like was the Angel Soft one when they were like, "Well, time to go to the bathroom."
Yeah, yeah. It was just.
And no
I
one was
kinda
leaving?
liked that.
I thought it was brilliant.
I thought it was
yeah.
too.
If I needed to take advantage, I might have.
I took a dip in my parents' hot tub during that commercial.
That's a quick dip.
Yeah, I don't normally pee in the pool, but
it didn't just stay in there, but yeah, bathrooms were taken. You know,
He missed what you said entirely.
we have to go back.
no, I
You have to go
heard
back?
what he said.
Okay.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
I said
That's what he said was so funny.
yeah, just had to. All the bathrooms were taken.
Not
sorry.
that one.
Not that one.
Don't. This is the moral of the story. Don't use Joey's hot tub.
The moral of the story
my
is
hot
don't invite Joey into your hot tub.
There it is. There it is. That's it right there. Yep, we got it. Took a minute. but-
Angel Soft gave you the permission for that. But
Yeah, they told
did.
me to go to use the bathroom, and I only had 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do?
That's
Not
what I
that.
was like, their commercial wasn't long enough for me to leave, so I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I
So
don't have 30 seconds to.
so let's move on to Night to Shine because that was the other
Oh,
thing this
yeah.
weekend, right?
Such a huge thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am especially curious for Joey because it was your Night to
I
Shine
actually
1.0
made it
for
this
you.
year.
Yeah. So tell me about the experience, Joey.
It was a lot of fun. Let me just say that.
Yep.
Like I felt like I didn't have to do much.
Man, me too. Yeah. Which don't tell Todd that.
what
but
are you talking about? You did.
Everybody email
I
Todd
walked up
Tillman
to
and tell
you
them that.
and was like, "Are you good, man?" And he goes, "No." And I said,
I did say
"Can
that.
I help?" No. So I just walked away.
My brain was engaged and I couldn't
I get it.
conversate. And
I
so
get it.
I was
No, I
just
get
like,
it.
nope, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Nope. Like I don't need any help.
I'm busy.
Just
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't
So-
have a specific job, and so I was getting pulled into jobs, which is great. That was
Yeah.
what I wanted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is how Todd likes to use us at Night to Shine. You know, like I always stick my keys in my pocket, my building keys in my pocket, because inevitably 10,000 times someone's going to need a key to a
Yeah.
door. Things like that.
Yeah. So I did have to help out with the sound booth and the lights and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Helped out a ton there, but it was just a ton of fun, you know. Like I never really went to like proms or dances growing up, and so like I went. I just went to one and
He
it was
didn't like
terrible.
that.
I didn't like that at all. Anyway,
At least you can admit it.
no, I never wanted to, but
Yeah.
like because they were always terrible.
Oh.
I went to junior
just
prom, but not senior
not
prom.
holy places to be at.
Yeah.
Not what I want to be doing when Jesus comes back on earth.
I just went with friends.
Yeah, I didn't really have it. No,
I was going to say. Aw.
anyways,
That's
so
where we need a
this
stinger
time,
for that.
me and my friend went with matching suits and a matching tie.
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was perfect. The
Yeah.
tie was perfect.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes.
Yeah. The rubber ducky tie.
Yes, this is true. And for those who
HIMYM people will understand.
Yes, this is true. If you don't get the joke, then
You
it's
would
just
never get the joke.
It's just a great tie.
Yeah.
That's the you
Yeah.
won. You won.
You know, I didn't get a single
It's so
like.
good.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "How do I get one of those?"
Amazon.
Yeah. that's
Where do you get
literally it.
anything?
Literally, it. It's like.
I'll give you one guess.
Yeah.
I'll give you one
Yeah,
guess.
everybody's like, "Where did you get that?" It's not like something like nothing in this world anymore is something that you see and think of. You like, and it wasn't even my idea,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that was really fun, and also just like, you know, getting to dance a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
and to, you know, just having some of our guests come up to me and just be like, just staring at me, and then you start dancing, and like, yeah, I want to
Yeah.
do that, and it's
Yeah.
pretty fun, and you know, they just have a good time, and so yeah, there was so many like good little moments,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and just getting to see. I always love seeing our students serve,
Yeah.
and I always love serving alongside them.
Yeah.
You know, and
Dude, Mark Landis.
Oh yeah. What a beast.
And like it felt like he was in his element.
Yeah.
Just like he knew the job and he was like
Executed it.
executed the job.
That's what Mark does.
man,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It really
Last
is.
year was my first year, and it was Jeremy, which was great.
Yeah.
But just Mark, like he just loved to be there.
Yeah.
Like you could see that he was there, and he really wanted to be there,
Yeah.
and was
Yeah.
in it. So
Yep.
and there was one part where he danced with Lisa on stage.
Oh, cool.
Like,
Yeah, slow
It was a
dance
slow
on
dance,
stage. It was so
and
sweet.
and I was like, where am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
was so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So-
It was fun. So I was the guy shouting all the
Dude.
names on the red carpet.
dude, you were gunning for it the whole time.
Hey.
I was impressed.
I was not gonna you
Yeah.
know.
How'd you
slough
do
it off.
pronouncing the names?
Here's the deal. I read a whole lot of books, and, and so I can read with a great confidence.
But do
And
you think that they?
I
Right.
had a teacher standing next to me,
Okay.
right? Aaron Tellman standing next to me. So
Yeah.
some of the names that are like have local pronunciations, because some names aren't pronounced the way they're spelled. Let's
Yeah.
just face facts.
Yeah.
And so she was really helpful with some of the names with local pronunciations. And then if she or I wasn't like 95% sure, I would just ask the guest really quick, like, hey, is it this or this?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I guess they would be standing right next
Yeah,
to you.
yeah, and so that's what I would do. So yeah, that wasn't a big deal. I think my favorite moments though. So there was one guy who I loved this. He brought in like flowers, and so we said, "Oh, who's the flowers for?" He's like, "Don't know yet." I'm like, I love the confidence. I love it.
Oh my.
and I hope he gave them away.
Yeah.
And then there was a girl who came in, a young girl who came in, and of course, we're screaming everybody's name, everybody's cheering, applauding, the whole thing. And she's wearing a headset, and so she comes in, she's like, shh, quietly. And so I was like, okay, quiet cheers for, and I said her name, and everybody goes, yay. So I loved that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good.
So, but yeah, that was a total blast.
We
Yeah.
we definitely like last year. I guess that was my first time, so I didn't know what it was like before. But
Yeah.
our tech setup is more advanced than
Yeah.
Dude.
you would maybe expect, which
Oh
is
my
so
goodness.
cool.
Yeah.
But we take the whole thing and move it from one place into the main room
Right.
to run a second stream, and that was just like
That's a lot of work.
yeah, and to move it all. At least it's like on a
Yeah.
it's set up to be moved, but like shout out to Jason Yoder.
Yeah.
He did such a good job with that, and it's hard to make all those things happen as smooth as possible. And we've got
Yeah, and that's
ways to improve, but
it's not his day job. Like
yeah.
like that's something that blows my mind is you have a lot of volunteers
Yeah.
who are so talented and so gifted.
But
let's
let's
talk-
it back and set it up for Sunday.
But let's talk about this for a second. I think
Yeah.
you just hit on something that's really good, right? And this is why I think it's so essential to volunteer in an area that you're passionate about, because Jason is naturally passionate about technology. Like he would spend time on technology forums just for the fun of it anyways. And so he's taking this other thing that he would love he would love to spend time doing, and he's saying I can utilize this thing for the kingdom, like
Yeah.
in a powerful way.
Yeah.
And he does, like he nails it. I would guess, Capital West started streaming before we got here, but I would guess he was probably the reason. You know what I mean?
I do know the reason, and it was very close to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but he was.
Yeah.
They used to have a booth that sat in the
Yeah.
actual room,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like it wasn't the purpose for the booth, but
Yeah.
they streamed off of this tiny little. I'm sure it was big enough to just fit a monitor and a computer, and that's how they originally started. And
Yeah.
we've come a long ways. We're running some stuff that is really appropriate for streaming, at least from a church,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
and a big system too, and a lot of
Yeah,
tables.
I
run.
love looking in that room
Yeah.
because it is like
So many
it's
things I don't understand.
Monitors,
Yeah.
2 boards, and it's wild.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important, though. Like, whenever you think about volunteering, a lot of people ask us, like, well, where do you need someone to volunteer? And I appreciate that. We need volunteers in some areas, but I'd rather them say, like, hey, I really care about this.
Yeah.
Is there a way that I could do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that.
And honestly, like, it's whatever you're passionate about.
Yeah.
It doesn't even, it can be your job. It can
Yeah.
not be your job. It can be like the beginning of an interest. And,
Yeah.
like I love how I think the church is just, a place where even if you're new to that passion, whatever, like if you're passionate about something, you can use it for the kingdom of God. And I experienced that in my own life too,
Yeah.
like when on my interview, I said that I didn't have a musical bone in my body. Apparently, I don't remember saying this, but
You did.
I did. And I play guitar and I just have never been confident in my own abilities, but I've even been able to start playing here at church, not because it's my job, because it's not, but it's because I'm passionate about something and I get to use that towards
Yeah.
Jesus. You get to do the same.
Exactly.
And I get to learn through that, and I do love like the ability that we get to do and that our leaders get to do and into partnering with other people
Yeah.
and what they're passionate about. And, and that can work in any degree,
Yeah.
in any way, for big events, for not big events, if you're detail oriented, if you're about organizing, or if you want to do small things behind the scenes. Sometimes like people, honestly, like I see that a lot in hospitality, is we get a lot of people who love helping, who love like setting things up and love doing small tasks that make a big impact.
Yeah. Well, and I want to, I do want to be careful because Jason has a lot of things that he now does that he leads in that area, and so I do want to say, like, tell me what you're passionate about, and we'll give you a little bit to do in that area. It's not like you're going to step into Jason's role today.
No.
You know what I mean? Or that
absolutely.
level of a role on
Yeah.
day one. It's like, hey, tell us what you're passionate about. We'll find an area.
Well, he's
Is
been
it-
doing this for a long time,
Right.
in maybe a lesser extent. And
he's proven himself over time
Yeah.
capable of what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the thing,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
And that's what works best.
there are lots of roles in lots of areas. If you love technology, there are so many computers you could sit behind on a Sunday morning. You know what I mean? Like,
quite a
Yeah.
few, yeah.
and so those things exist.
Yeah, and we do the stream not because it's necessarily like cool, even though it is cool. I
Yeah.
think it's cool, but we do it so that other people can watch. Like my kids they don't get to go because
Yeah.
there's an age limit and they're really small, and so, but they even were
They
able to
watch
watch
the stream?
afterwards. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like I pulled it up and I think that one might still be private actually, so or unlisted.
Uh-huh.
But so I pulled it up for them and they got to see like, oh, what is Night to Shine? They have no idea.
Yeah.
And so we have a whole little group of kids that goes to childcare for the night, and they have no idea what happens or like how uplifting the night is, and so to be able to show other people what that is, because
Yeah.
we do have a limit of how many people we can fit in the building and
Yeah.
how many
Mhm.
volunteers
Yeah.
we can have. Although it's hard to reach that limit of how many volunteers, but
well,
yeah.
and we, I just learned this that night, is that their parents
Yeah.
go to
Solid
Rock and
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
get
so
a
cool.
dinner and they get
Yep.
showered themselves too. And
Yeah.
So, and they put the stream on in
Yeah.
that room.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
Absolutely. No, it's cool. It was fun too. I didn't realize until doing what I did this year. I didn't realize how many caregivers they'll bring their guest up to the door, and then they'll be like, okay, can you wait like 2 minutes? And then they run back so that they can like film their guests walking in and everything too, so that they can kind of keep that memory.
Yeah.
And so I love that too. It was fun to watch them, like they would light up watching their guests light up, you know.
Yeah.
And it was really cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so my wife did some of the photo stuff. So
Yeah.
so what we do, which I didn't know this before, and there's so much stuff that happens.
There's so many little
Yeah.
things.
But
I
they
love this.
they take like a photo booth photo, and then whoever's taking photos drops their card
Right.
off with somebody else,
Yeah.
and they go and get the photos developed,
right away.
and then bring them back over, and they load them into a frame and give it to them before they leave.
Yeah.
And so that's just another way to like just remember, like, man, you like you are valued. If you've ever felt
Yeah.
devalued, this is a reminder of that, and so like hopefully that's something that's memorable for them, but it's a cool way to send them off, and
Yeah.
so my wife was just explaining, just getting to
Yeah.
hand a photo off to somebody and just seeing they're doing like a mad dash to load frames, but to pass them off and just see like them look at the photo and their expression afterwards.
And she was so excited about it.
she was, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like she
Yeah.
was telling me about it, and you could just tell she was
Yeah.
really happy to do what she was doing,
Yeah.
something small.
Super cool.
Yeah.
And she was in a car
But
with
so-
somebody she didn't
yeah.
know either.
Yeah.
And so she got to know somebody, and that's super
That's
cool,
awesome.
too.
Yeah.
So-
That's cool.
You have to tell me offline who that was. I'm curious now.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the sermon yesterday,
Yeah.
because we're kind of running out of time.
Yeah, it's got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So jealousy, huh? How about that?
Yeah.
It was a fun one, I think. I think it was one of those things where people, the conversation at my house last night was like people kind of rethinking how they perceive others, I think. And that was I think how it kind of reframed it for them, or like rethinking their envy, I guess. That was a conversation at my house last night. People just mentioning like well, before this morning I would have said da 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 just in passing, you know.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting to see that perception, I guess.
Yeah, I think we always have to go back and reevaluate our relationship with that.
Yeah.
And that in turn informs our relationship with
Yeah.
other people. But just revisiting that is always a thing that we might feel like we've got it figured out, and then it's something that just takes work that comes
Yeah.
back over time.
Yeah.
And so you may figure it out today and you're like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then you may wake up someday and you're like, man, I think I need to revisit that and
Yeah.
like retweak how I think and like trying to do
Yeah,
this.
it's
the right
something
way.
that sits so far in the background oftentimes.
Mhm.
Like you don't often think about how you feel about that, and it's so easy to just see those things and see things that other people have, and and just be like, I wish I had this, I wish I had this. And man, working with teenagers,
Mhm.
I hear it so much.
Oh yeah.
And it blinds us.
Mm-hmm.
They say, I say, because other people say it, but I say it too, is that comparison kills all joy.
Yeah, it's the thief of joy. That's what I've
Yes.
heard over and over again.
If
Yeah.
if I could just have this, then I would be
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
type of situation.
You go on
Yeah.
a great family vacation, and then you pull up Facebook and you see
Yeah.
your friend's family vacation. And you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
We suck.
Yeah.
We suck again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
know?
And there's some contentment too in there.
Yeah.
Like if you are not content, then you might engage in
Yeah.
jealousy more. And it could probably work the other way. If you are a jealous person, then you may really struggle with content because you desire something that you don't have, to the point where it causes
Yeah.
like whatever emotional issues or
Yeah.
or like relational issues.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, and I think reframing for me, the reframing of James's conversation about partiality into into envy or in my mind,
I
like,
thought that was really cool.
yeah, and because really, why do we show partiality? We show partiality because we want to be associated with something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we don't want to be associated with this other thing. Or we want to be we want to be valued by one thing and not this other thing.
And
Or
that's the Goldfingered man.
the gold-fingered man. Da 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 da.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and like you did a good job of like calling people out
Mm-hmm.
on behalf of the big
leadership.
C church and Capital West church, and the leadership, just saying like that's not acceptable here.
Yeah.
And it seems like we don't get the opportunity to say that about very many things.
Yeah.
Because normally you're if you're saying that, you're probably correcting something.
Right.
But in this moment, you weren't necessarily correcting something, but saying this is our value, and we won't stand for.
And I hope people heard that yesterday. Like this is, we were talking about streaming a few minutes ago. This is where streaming gets weird for me.
Yeah.
Is like, if you just hopped onto our live stream yesterday and that was all you saw,
Oh man.
Yeah.
Sad day.
what you could have perceived in your head was, oh man, they're having this issue, and he's, you know what I mean? Or if you were a first time guest yesterday, you could have perceived that in your head, like, oh, they're having this issue and whatever. Like that's a thing.
Yeah.
And so it's always that fine line, I think, between calling out what needs to be called out, like honestly speaking about what needs to be spoken about, and making sure that I'm not unintentionally misguiding someone to the wrong understanding of who we are.
Yeah.
But I thought about a first-time guest in the midst of that, and
Yeah.
if they walked in that day and they heard the whole sermon,
Yeah.
and that section, I think they would be like, "Oh, like."
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it felt like it was an issue that we were dealing with that needed corrected, but just saying like, "Hey, if this is ever happening, you come and find us because that's not acceptable here."
Yeah.
And so letting the whole congregation know in one day that like about that type of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think in my opinion, of course it is in my opinion. I did it, but in my opinion, it's the right way to do it. Like we were almost correcting the bad behavior before it happened.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's
Um,
kind of what it felt like to me. Like I didn't sit here and think, I had no names in my mind,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm sure you didn't
Yeah.
in that writing that sermon. Like it wasn't something like that. I felt like this is something we really struggle with often, but I think as we grow as a church and you know, things change and we make changes and that kind of thing, that can be something that,
Well, I don't
know.
think it's something that Capital West struggles with, but I do think it's something that we're all almost
Yeah.
naturally inclined to do.
exactly. Yeah.
Have you ever had a word that you say and you someday realize like, man, that's actually really offensive, but I didn't ever think anything of it
Right.
because
Yeah.
it was just.
Yeah.
I won't give any examples, but maybe that's you too. Don't drop that in the comments. But,
Yeah. No.
but just there are some
not.
things that
Don't call
you
yourself
that we
out like
say and maybe you learned it as a kid or something,
Yeah.
and then you realize, man, I really shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not really.
Lots
Yeah.
of words. I grew up in the 80s in Missouri.
Oh yeah, yeah, and language changes too.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
we shouldn't be saying this anymore,
Yeah.
and so that can kind of change out from under your feet. But it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do in that moment? Well, you got to change for the sake of others around you,
Yeah.
and not change like you're compromising your values, but actually that you're holding
Correcting.
to and correcting your values.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we should do that in those moments. And if there's anyone who did hear that and they were like revealed to them that they were acting in
Yeah.
a way that showed that partiality, then hopefully they took that to heart and corrected it. And
Yeah.
I don't know who those people are, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's one, you know,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
that was like, oh, okay, that hit me hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's why you say it too. you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Future actions, but also just say like, this is what this verse is talking about.
Yeah.
Like, let's
Yeah.
apply this to.
One thing that you said yesterday that really hit me, and that like this is where I see like in my own life see it manifest so much, is when you talked about, you know, churches as well,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you know, we as a growing church and with big dreams,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so often I do notice that it is so easy to compare to other churches,
Oh yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
and even in faith too. Like I think one thing, like one of the most dangerous ways that this jealousy takes root is in our faith when we look at other people and we look at, people who are either newer in faith, who are blossoming and doing really great things, or people who are, older in faith that we look up to. Like, it is so easy, especially for me, being newer in ministry and having seen as much, like, and also in a building phase in youth ministry, like, it's so easy to look at other people, to look at, my friends who have also just graduated, to look at other churches, both in the area, but like also not in the area. Like, oh man, it's so easy.
So vocationally, I don't like the word content, but personally I do. You know what I mean? And I think and so I'm going to use the word content in terms of our vocation, but
I think content in your vocation means you're moving forward. Like always. Yeah. Like that should be your contentment, because you have to have progress.
So,
but I see what you're saying.
So when I was younger in ministry, and now defunct minister, said one really good thing. And I really grabbed onto it at that moment. I've seen that one thing play out in my life. And what he said is if you think you're not at a place that is like big enough or whatever enough for you, like, just realize if you can't be content where you're at, like where God has you, you'll never be content if he puts you there either.
Yeah.
And I think that really spoke to me at that moment, and I think that's the thing, and really envy, partiality, all this stuff. Part of that conversation is just contentment. Like it's just like I'm content to till the ground before me, to plow the ground before me, no matter what that ground brings up, and whatever, and if whatever I've got to do to that dirt, I'll do.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like, I see that, like, in so many ways, both in my own life and in other people's lives. It's like, when we, like what you said, like, when we show favoritism, it's because we want to be represented in that. And like, when we're not able to be content, represented in the way that we are right now, then it's not gonna get better. I listen to a lot of people who like talk about health stuff, and like working out and that kind of thing, and like I like sometimes listening to some of that too, and one thing I hear some of those guys say, like, who have like are huge and ripped, they're like, if you're not, like, you don't need to do this. This is not going to make you happy. Like, this is not going to bring you contentment. It's nothing can. Like, there's no thing besides, the love of Christ. And oftentimes, like, that is such a mystery.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, sometimes a root of it is that, God's love can be such a mystery to us. And so we try and find that mystery in other people who are maybe doing it well, or who are living well, or feeling successful. And whether that's, conscious or not, or, whether the motivation is to experience God's love, we are wired to experience God's love. And so, when we don't, we move in other ways that are not helpful, and they're not ways that are uncovering that mystery, and like what you said, contentment is moving. It's not about being stable to me, but it's rather like, where am I content in the direction I'm moving?
And that's the thing. I think I associate sometimes the word content with the negative connotation of the word. Does that make sense?
It sounds like you should just be still and have no action, no anything.
Like, I'm just going to sit still. But contentment, I think, especially in the context of ministry, but just in life in general, it's your contentment is found in whatever it is the Lord has you doing. It's not an inactive word. It should be an active.
I think so too.
So it's a feeling of contentment towards your calling.
This is something I don't know how many times I've said this here or not, but like to me, like the seasons, like make a big deal to me. Like I love just paying attention.
Yeah.
It feels like something that we could miss if we don't pay attention to it. But like if you notice, like right now, we've just hit a little moment of like bright, warm weather.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of entering back into the winter, but it's like
Snowapalooza.
it's a
Supposed to
reminder.
snow on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that spring is coming.
Yes.
It's not.
Yes.
And so I think in the same way that we can be content, and yesterday's content might look like today's content and looks like tomorrow's content.
Right.
And that always continues to repeat itself.
Yeah.
But next week's content could look very different from today's content.
Yeah.
Sorry if I
Well,
I think that's kind of the key is like contentment happens day to day and changes week to week.
Yeah.
Or month to month.
Yeah.
It's really about the present.
Yeah, it is, and it's again, it's like I'm content to work this field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so there you go. Hey, we got to go, guys.
We could talk about that for like hours. We could have like 4 podcasts on that.
We could easily.
So
Yeah.
All right.
Hey,
Y'all
well,
have a good week.
yeah, it's
Have a
been good
good
to spend with
week.
you guys. Hopefully you're not too sad about the Super Bowl and you can make it to work today. So
Hopefully it's not too
So-
sad of a week in Jeff City.
I know. And snow. So all right, we'll see you guys later.
Bye bye.
Have a great Monday.
Bye.